our office, and I think, just in transition, sometimes it's very hard. And I'm a firm believer, sometimes it just takes a little while to rebuild the confidence in the town's people to say, we're not just sitting there, we are working hard. And this is the result, and, that's just one part of it. So I'm glad to hear that, Jeff, thank you.
The takeaway of that rubber stamp, people have, you probably hear that expression, that it's just a rubber stamp. That seems to be fading away, at least with some of the people that have called me, and quite a number have, so.
Good. And I've also been very, very diligent during the abatement process, this for 2011, inspecting the homes. I mean, I go to their house, I sit down, I talk to them. I try to be as lenient with time, whether it's an earlier morning or a later afternoon or whatever. Not Saturday and Sunday, sorry. And I think that's been very, very productive, because they just seem shocked that I actually even made an appointment and took a half an hour to spend time with them, explaining it, going over their field card, explaining how those numbers are all arrived. So.
Michael?
Just to go backwards again, just a little bit on the reevaluations.
Mhm.
Is it a measure and lift reevaluation that you have to do?
Not in 2013. One of the things that I like to do to put in place so that the town is not in a constraint where they have to put out $20,000 for a measure and list all in 1 year or over that 3-year period. What I've done is I've taken the measure and list that have been done last year, say if it's 500 parcels. Then I'm taking the ones that I'm inspecting now. That becomes part of that measure and list cycle. The abatements, if I measure and list those become part of it. My new construction will become part of it. So what happens is, as long as we maintain that integrity of the numbers, and we keep a third within each year in that 3-year cycle, we will never have to spend that $20,000, because we're doing it in-house by keeping the 500 every year. Did that make sense?
150 to 125, isn't it? The years past, we've expended over $100,000.
It's very
to-
expensive. It's about
That's what-
$50 a parcel.
Right.
I mean, you're talking $40, $50 a parcel.
Right. And it worries me because I don't believe our overlay has the funding to support real measure and lift.
List, yeah.
Lists.
Well,
Sorry,
you-
lists.
That's how it's been done in the past, though.
That's all.
Well,
She's getting away from that.
This is one of the changes that we're actually implementing in the office. So that, I mean, we may have to pick up maybe 100 parcels or 200 parcels to get to that cycle time. But if we can do it within the building permits, the sale property, the question property, if you will, and the abatements, then we don't have to go out to bid for the cyclical cycle. It will be done in-house.
Is that really actually better for us or worse? I
It's
know,
better in, as far as I'm,
It would be better, because we're not spending $125,000 to go out and,
And like I
if you're keeping it on an ongoing
You can do it
basis, a
in-
rotating
you can do it
basis, then
in-house.
Right.
then the assessments are actually gonna be
Basis.
fairly timely, and it's gonna meet the requirements of, every 3
Exactly.
years.
Yeah.
And,
you'll always be on track every 3rd year of that cyclical cycle, as long as you maintain your, and I'm just throwing a number out there, 500 parcels
Mhm.
every year.
Okay.
And I do about 500 parcels a year.
but we have, what,
You have
4,500?
4,194 residential,
And then the commercial.
741
48.
condos, which I do condos. A lot of people don't do condos, but it's very important that you do condos. And then you have our 300 CNI. So, like by 6,194.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Yes, sir.
I have some again. Your GIS database, you were talking, when we talked last year about doing that, is there any money in this budget to work on improving that or not?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay.
Are you, well, let me just ask the question a different way. Are you talking the updating of the maps or
The
the
map.
GIS?
The map data.
The mapping is getting updated. I'm working with CPC and Dave out of, Dick Carnavale out of DPW. And we've all realized the importance of my maps, because my maps control all these parcels. And without, the old cliche, garbage in, garbage out, and you're doing an abutters list, your ABCs you just signed? A butters list have to be done on those. And if my maps aren't correct, you're not getting accurate data. So before we lose the integrity, we need to maintain. And yes, the mapping will be done.
Okay,
In
so
a few
incrementally
months.
as opposed to
Right.
wholesale.
Right.
Okay. Second, says the assessor's office must also report to the Department of Public Works any deduction of trash bills for the qualifying properties.
True.
How do they qualify?
How do they qualify? I'm not sure what you're asking.
This is when somebody provides data that they have their own collection?
If, I'll give you the scenario of like a commercial property, they would always hire an outside vendor, so they would not have or receive a trash bill.
Mr. Balakonis.
Gabby, I think the question may be statutorily, there are certain people that are entitled to exemptions. And because
Okay.
of those exemptions, they're also entitled to an abatement of their tax, their trash fee. Could you just talk about the statutory exemptions a little bit?
Sure. On the exemptions, if, we have many different exemptions. We have an elderly, we have veterans exemptions, we have blind exemptions, we have spousal or widow. And what happens, it's an income asset qualification. If they provide us with the accurate and proper documentation and with what has been written by the town to receive the exemption, then yes, we do abate their trash bill.
I know in some work Michael and I had done in the FAC, that our predecessor actually brought it to our attention that, in her opinion, that the exemptions for trash has been pretty broad in terms of who actually qualifies. She had
Well, there is no
indicated-
written policy. I mean, I checked it myself.
And it seems like it should have been, when it was instituted, an age and an income component to it, but it seems like if you fall into any category to get an exemption in your real estate tax bill, you automatically get it on your
You're
trash side.
absolutely correct,
I
and I
think her-
think the intent was an income asset.
Well,
That's my
again,
understanding
there-
too, and it would make sense that it would be an income and age, two components, as opposed to this broad categories that you can fall into to get this exemption. And I believe the numbers back 2+ years ago was about $9,000-10,000 a year of some people that
Yeah,
are
that's about
getting
right.
it that probably
Where-
shouldn't qualify.
Right.
You want to tell them about the project we're doing, the abatements for trash should be finalized by, was it March 28th?
March 27th.
March 27th. So we're gonna put together a little analysis to see if all these abatements should have been granted.
And are we gonna create a policy?
Well, we have a policy, I don't think we're really adhering to it.
No, we have a written policy?
The policy that is currently in place, that has been voted upon at town meeting, is that it was anyone that qualifies for any of these exemptions would also receive the trash abatement. Whereas the intent if you read the intent of what they were trying to say, it should have been
Okay, when you-
worded explicitly to say income asset.
When you say you read the intent, are you referring to the transcript article is the only piece of written information I can find? Is there something else?
That's the only thing I've seen.
Right. There's nothing really written. It's just an article that was in a newspaper. And so we drafted one, and if you want
Okay.
to have it, I will send it to you.
Oh, sure.
You're welcome to do whatever you want with it, but
I believe when we researched it in the past, it had changed twice. It was income-based, then it went to the total exemptions. I think there was 2 articles we found on in the past when we researched it. So,
I've only seen one.
If you think about it logically in terms of trash, it should be income and age, in my opinion.
Right,
because
that's-
you would
right.
think those that are
elderly isn't gonna have as
older
much
are gonna
trash
have
as I
less
am.
trash, probably have less of an income, so those are the 2 that should qualify.
but we'll have that analysis as soon as the end of the month.
That's great.
And I'll email
know-
you what we have.
I know FinCom has worked on it for a number of years, and it kicked around there for a while, and we kicked it around, so.
Will that require town meeting action to change?
I'd refer to town council, but if I had to answer your question, Steve, yeah.
Well, it must
Only
be a
because
bylaw
that's
then,
where it
Steve.
was
If there's a
voted.
bylaw, yeah.
It must be a written bylaw.
Where
I thought
it was
a board.
voted.
I thought when we looked at it, it was a board decision.
No.
Policy?
I thought
No,
it
it was a
went to
town
town
meeting.
meeting.
It went to town meeting, and then what happened at that town meeting was written in an article, I believe in the transcript, and then when you go over here to Mark Clark's office, that's what you basically have, is what it says in there.
Yes, but if it was
There
a
is no,
town meeting.
I haven't seen,
Michael, if it was a town meeting action.
Yep.
right, It would have been a bylaw,
I haven't seen it.
and there should be a copy of it somewhere.
I mean,
Otherwise,
Otherwise,
I
it's
looked.
just, otherwise it's just a,
A decision.
no, it's not a decision, it's a informative action, basically, it's, it's a consensus of town meeting to take an action, but it's non-binding, unless it's in the bylaws.
Okay, I didn't
Or
find it.
unless you're accepting some sort of
That's why I
statute.
thought it came out of
Yeah,
the board.
we did too, because we couldn't
Number of years
find
ago.
what you're saying. And I may have missed it.
Joe, you found 2 items. Could you make sure that we get a copy of those 2?
There was something, one of your,
I have
Clerk showed
one, I have one, document, and that's just saying if they qualify for an exemption, then they qualify for the trash reduction. I have not seen that second
Well,
one.
That appears to be the current one, or at least it's the current practice.
Yeah, and if it's a reference to a transcript article as a result of a town meeting action, let's just get a copy of the action that was taken at town meeting and take a look at it. And if it requires a
And
general
that-
bylaw change.
That's the bylaw that's in place, it needs to be changed.
Right.
Okay. I will send you everything that we
Okay.
worked on over the last few years, and you're welcome to do whatever you
And
want.
if it's different than what I have in my folder, then I'll share with you what I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just as far as 2 assessors ago, we were looking to ensure that we get aggregate industries excise tax on their cement trucks. Are we still maintaining an inventory that we're getting excise tax on those vehicles?
I have seen that folder, I have not been active on it, I'll be honest with
Just
you.
wanna make sure that that's-
Yes.
I know some excise comes out of there, do I monitor the vehicles? I'll be honest with you, I have not taken that approach. I have reviewed the file, just the history of it.
We were getting nothing before. And then I think it was somewhere around, regular basis, 20 vehicles, maybe more?
Mhm.
I think it was 20.
16 or 20 vehicles were being maintained there that we could verify. And that I just want to make sure that we're continuing to, as their inventory changes, that the registration is maintained here where they're principally garaged and we get the revenue from that, because that can be somewhat significant.
Anything else for our assessor?
One last one.
Yes, go
There's
ahead.
a clothing detail line as well, is that, okay.
That's-
On the detail page, it shows the folks listed under non-union.
But under non-union, there is a non-union agreement. There's a formal non-union agreement.
The non-union union.
That's right.
So you get the allotment, you
Sorry.
don't have to pay dues.
That's
No.
Is it
Correct.
specific for you because you have to go out on the road?